Hello and welcome to our third session on this jet turbine e-learning application program, augmented reality learning program. So, basically we have understood the logic, how it works, we have implemented it with one button. The only job that we have to now do is we have to replicate it and apply it to all the parts. So, that is what we are now going to do in this session. So, I will come to Unity Hub and I will open the jet turbine project which we had saved in our previous session. So, now our project is open. Now, in the project, now let us start implementing the buttons to every component here. So, for this I will open the jet turbine, and in turbine root I will open root. We have already completed the clamps, and next thing that we are going to implement is in the plates. So, if I see the plates here, so if I switch it on and off, the plate is at the back. So, this is the plate, you can see here, this is the plate. So, for this we are going to apply the toggle switch. For that I will come to UI canvas. First, for this plate, apply this toggle method. So, once I apply toggle method to this, now I will drag this plate and add it as the jet component, and then I will come to the clamps button, and then I will press Ctrl D to duplicate it. Press F2 and name this as plates button, and then open this, and in the text PMP layer give it the name as plates. In capitals I will type plates. Now, I will select the plates bin and I will double click UI canvas, and you can now see that this plates bin is here in the same place as the clamp bin, and along the x axis I will just move it and place it next to it, so that in the game view you can see the two buttons are present here. So, I have the clamps plate button and the plates button. Okay. And only thing is I have to apply the button logic to it. The button logic is already applied, but only thing is instead of clamp, now I have to attach the plates, and for this I have to apply the toggle method toggle. So, now the logic is applied to the plates. So, now if I want to check it, I can just play it, and when I play it, if I click on plate, you can see the plate appearing and disappearing, you can see that. Okay. So, I will stop the playback. Now, same thing, now let us come to the flaps. Actually, there are two flaps, one flap is here and one flaps is here. So, there are two flaps here. So, for this what we are now going to do is, I will select the first flap here and apply the toggle method, and I am going to drag this and apply it to this jet component. Now, I will select the second flap, apply the toggle method, and then I will drag this flap and apply it as the jet component. So, I have applied it to both. Now, I will come in the buttons here, I will select the plates button, press Ctrl D, I will press F2, and I am going to name this as flaps button, and I will open it, and in the text PMP I will type the name flaps, and then I will select the flaps button here, come to the scene view, and I will just move it to the right like this. I will place it next to it, and you can see you have the flaps button here. Only thing is, now in the logic, instead of plates I will apply the first flaps here, and in method toggle method I will choose toggle, and here I will add one more click function, and in the second case I will select the another flap button here. I will come back to flap button, I will drag this flap here, I will just roll down, and I am going to apply this flap here. Okay. And for this flap I am going to apply the toggle. Okay. So, I have applied it to both the flaps. So, now I will go to file and choose save. Let us do the testing together later. So, after flaps, next is the grid. So, for this grid, again I will apply the toggle method script, then I will drag this grid and add it to the jet component, then I will select the plates button now, and I will press Ctrl D to duplicate, I will press F2, and I am now going to call this as grid button, grid underscore btn. I will open it, and in the text PMP I am going to call this as grid, and then I will select this grid button. I will just press F2 and I will rename it correctly, grid btn. Okay, and then I will now drag it and place it next to the flaps like this, so that the grid button is placed here. And for this grid button, I am now going to come here and I am going to apply this grid component, and from the function toggle method I will choose toggle. So, the grid button is applied. I will save it. Now, next I have the bolts. So, I will select bolts, apply this toggle method to the bolts, then drag this bolts and use it as the jet component here, and after this I will come back here, select grid, press Ctrl D to duplicate, press F2, name this now as this is bolts button. I will call this as now bolts btn. I will open this, and in text PMP I will come here and name it as bolts, give it the name as bolts, come back to bolts button and then move it along the x axis and place it next, so that we have the next bolts button here. Only thing is, now in the logic I have to now drag bolts button here and I have to apply the toggle method toggle. So, now you are understanding slowly. I think I will save it. Now, after bolts I have nameplate. So, what I will do is I will select bolt, press Ctrl D, duplicate, press F2, name this as nameplate underscore btn. Then I will open this, and in text plate I will come here and I am going to type here the name plate. I will give it the name as nameplate, and after this I will select nameplate button and I will move it, but only thing is the length is less, so it is appearing very tight. So, what I will do is I will come up here and selecting this nameplate button, I will come here and increase the width to around 190. I will increase the width a little so that I have some gaps on both the sides. I will come back to scene and move it a little to the left along the x axis, so that it is almost equally aligned. Now, for this nameplate I will just scroll down, I will drag this nameplate and put it over here, and in this okay. Now, the problem is I have not still added the script to nameplate. So, I will select nameplate, I will add this toggle method to it, then I will drag nameplate and make it the jet component, and then come to nameplate button, and now if I come here you have this function toggle method toggle applied to it. Okay. So, now I will go to file, choose save. Now, next I am going to come to the next part, is pistons. So, for pistons I will apply the toggle method, I will drag pistons and make it the jet component, and then I will come here, select the nameplates or I will select the bolts, because I need the same size is enough. I will press Ctrl D, I will press F2 and I am going to call this as pistons underscore btn, and then I will open this, and in text PMP I will give it the name as pistons, and then I will select pistons.btn and I will move it like this and place it next here, so that in the game view you can see pistons is here. Now, only thing is, now I will scroll down, I will drag piston and attach it in the on click event, and in that I will select toggle method toggle. Now, I will go to file and choose save, and after piston I have pipe. I will drag toggle method to pipe, select drag pipe and make it the jet component here, then come here down, select piston, press Ctrl D, press F2, name this as now as pipe button, and in this pipe button open it, open the text DMP and here give it the name as pipe, and then select this pipe button and then roll down, add drag pipe and add it as the on click event, and in function choose toggle method toggle, then move it to the left like this and place it, so that in the game view you can see the pipe here button. So, that is done. Next I am going to next one thing I forgot to mention here is, when you are adding this, come to UL canvas and in the canvas scaler do not use constant pixel size, use scale with screen size. So, when you use scale with screen size, now what happens is these images will appear bigger. So, now see the components are changing. So, now what I have to do is I have to rearrange this. So, only thing is now what I have to do, buttons, I will select all these buttons, and what I will do is in the scale I will click on this uniform and then type 0.8, so that it is slightly made smaller. So, now I will come to the, this is fine, and I have to realign it because I readjusted it. So, I will select clamps and I will move it slightly to left. I will select plates and move it here. I will select grid, not the grid, next is flaps. I will select flaps and move it here. Then I will select grid and I will move it here. So, slightly let us align this UI. Then I will select bolts and I will move it here, and then I will select pistons, and if I move it, so now here the space is not enough. So, I will take it to the next row now. So, I will take from piston in the next row, okay, and then I will select the pipe. I will move it along the x, and also I will move it along the y axis, okay. I will move it y. So, now I will just zoom it a little. So, I will select pistons and see its y value. Y value I will set it to 70, and for pipe also I will set the same value 70, so that they are at the same height. Then finally, you have another one is the nameplate. I will drag nameplate also here, and I will drag it to the top like this, okay, and I will move it, and even this value in y I will set it to 70, so that they are all in the same height, okay. So, after this, now I will come back to game view, and you can now see that this is the way it has been arranged. So, this appears to be okay. Now, the next thing what I want is, after nameplate, the next thing is I have completed pistons, I have completed pipe, okay, pistons is done, pipe is done, nameplate is done, and I will now have the electronics. So, for the electronics, I will again drag toggle method and add it to it, and then drag toggle electronics and make it the jet component. I will then select this pipe button, press Ctrl D to duplicate, press F2, and I am now going to call this as electronics underscore btn button. I will open this, and in TextTMP I will type electronics here, and then I will select back this electronics.btn button. I will come to scene view and I will slightly move it here, and again this is very tight, I does not have any border on left and right. So, I will increase its width to around 200, and increasing the width to 200 in scene view, I will just drag it and place it next to it like this. So, this is how we are arranging all our buttons. So, now the next thing is I will, after electronics, now the next thing I have here is tubes. For tubes also I will drag toggle method and attach it to tubes. I will drag tubes and add it as the jet component here. Then what I will do is I will come back here, I will select pipe this time, press Ctrl D, press F2. I am now going to call this as tubes underscore btn, and then I will open this, and in TextTMP I am going to type here tubes, and then I will select tubes underscore button, and I am going to drag it and put it to the other side here. Only thing is this length is too long, I will make it shorter, I will make it to around 140, so that I have lesser gap on both the sides. So, or even I can make it 120, okay, and I will just move it over here. So, I have added the tubes button, and then the next after tubes I have containers. So, for containers, now what I have to do is in this view, let us slightly rearrange it. So, for example, I will select clamps. So, clamps is fine, I will keep it here. I will select plates and move it slightly to right. Then I will select flaps and I will move it slightly to right. I will select grid and I will move it to right. Then I will select bolts and I will move it to right. And now what I will do is then I will select next the pistons and I will move it down to fit it here. So, let us see whether the piston sits here. So, I have to move bolts little to the side. Okay. So, what I will now do is I will select both grid, I will select grid and reduce its width to around 130 because the text is small. I will move it to the right, then I will also select bolts and set its width to 130 and I will move it to the right. So, now I have some gap for pistons button, I will drag it and place it here, and only thing is I will select bolts and see its Y value is 34, and for piston also I will set the same value 34, so that along the Y it is at the same height. So, now we have pistons in the down row, then I will I am now going to select the pipe and I will move it to the left here, then I will select the name plate and I will move it to the left like this, and then I will select electronics, I will move it to the left like this, then I will select tubes and I will move it to left like this, and after this let us come to game view and see the the buttons are almost perfectly placed. Then I will come back here and we have done till tubes, then I have containers. So, for I select containers, add toggle method to container, drag container and make it the jet component, and then come back here, select for container, since it is a long word I will select electronics and I will press Ctrl D, I will press F2, I am going to name it as container underscore button. I will open this and in text PMP I will give it the name as containers, and then I am going to now select this button, container button, and I am going to drag it and keep it here on this side. Okay. So, we have these 5 buttons in the second row containers, and we have still 4 buttons left which we can add it in the next row. So, what I will do is I will select containers with control plus tubes, with control plus electronics, with control pressed nameplate, and with control pressed the last one is, one second, I will come to view and see pipe. With control press select the pipe and select all this, and I will move it slightly to left so that they are aligned correctly, or I can press 2D here and I can align it perfectly. So, I will switch on the 2D view. See, this makes the work more easy by using the 2D view. Okay. So, all these are arranged. Now, finally, I have these 4 buttons. I will then select this toggle method and I will apply this to fins. Then I will select fins, drag fins and make the jet component, and then I will select tubes now, press Ctrl D, and I am going to press F2 and call this as fins underscore BTN button, and I am now going to move it to the top like this and to the right like this, and I am going to enter the name for this. I will open fins button in text PMP, I will give it the names as fins, and then I will select fins button, I will move down, and instead of now pipes here I will drag fins and make it its part. I will go to function toggle method and I will choose toggle. So, now one second, for tube, see, one problem is for tubes we haven't attached tubes at all. So, I have to drag tubes and attach to tube button, and here set the toggle method to toggle. If I doesn't set it correctly, some other component will be switched off. So, you have to be careful. So, you just check it once. See, clamps has clamps, plates has plates, grid has grid, fine, bolts has bolts, piston has piston, then pipe has pipe, tubes has tubes, fins has fins, electronics, see, electronics is having pipes. Okay, I have forgotten to add this. So, for electronics I will add electronics, go to toggle method and add toggle, then I will select container also has pipe. So, for even for container I have to drag this container here, add the toggle method toggle, then for nameplate it is fine, flaps I have added 2 and all others are fine. Now, we are left with another 2 here, and I will select fins, press Ctrl D, press F2, and I am now going to call this a hull button. I will add hull button, and here for this hull button I will open it, and in text PMP I will add hull as the title, and then I will select hull button and I will move it to the left. So, now I will select hull, and for hull I will add the toggle method. and I will drag this hull and make it the jet component, and I will select the hull button, and for the hull button I will drag hull game object over here, and I will select toggle method toggle to it, and finally we are left with one part, that is the turbine. So now what I will do is select the turbine, apply toggle method to this turbine, select the turbine here, drag this and make it the jet component here. After that, now come here, select hull, press Ctrl D, press F2 and rename this as turbine underscore button. Open this and in text type turbine, I will type it as turbine, and then I will come over here, select the turbine button, and here what I will do is I will just center it a little. I will center turbine, hull, I will move it here, I will place it to the center, and then fins. These three I will just center it a little like this, so that it is somewhat neatly arranged. And for this turbine, I will come back to turbine here. For this turbine button, now I will drag turbine and add it as this click event, and in this I will go to toggle method toggle. Now I will go to file and choose save. So now we have almost, I will just check that every element, turbine is applied with toggle method, hull is applied, flaps is applied, fin is applied, container is applied, tubes is applied, electronics is applied, pipes fine, then piston is applied, nameplate is applied, bolts, grid, then flaps, then plates, then clamps. So all are applied with, I will just verify it, and even in this UI setting I will come over here and see that clamps is connected with clamps toggle, plates is with plates toggle, then grid is with grid toggle, bolts is with bolts toggle, piston is with piston, pipes is with pipes, tubes, fins, hull, then turbine, so that it is correctly linked there, electronics, container, nameplate, flaps, again and all these are now working fine. So now I will go to file, choose save, and now if I execute the game, if I run the game now, you can now see what happens is, if I click on hull, you can see the hull became, it disappeared. If I click on turbine, see the turbine disappeared. If I click on fins, see the fins disappeared. If I click on pipe, see the pipes disappeared. Nameplate disappeared. Electronic board disappeared. Tubes disappeared. Container disappeared. Pistons disappeared. Bolts disappeared. Grid is gone. Flaps is removed. Plates is removed, and clamps is removed. So everything is removed. I can switch on one by one like this and see. See, this concept is working now fine. So I will now stop the playback, go to file and save this. So now we have added all the buttons. Now the only last job that is left is, this application requires a quit button, because once you launch this app in the Android, you should have a quit button so that the user can close the application. Even in our previous project that we did about the planet Air, we should have added one quit button. So I will also show how to add the quit button, and then finally how to publish it, and also how to share this entire project on GitHub and send it as assignment. All this will be covered in the next session. Thank you.